We wasted about 2 years not charging people, and we would never ever do that again. Here's what finally worked and how you can figure out your pricing. Welcome to Just Grow With It. I've always been a little impulsive. I get an idea and just go with it. But that's the thing about life and business. You're always growing, learning, and figuring it out as you go. Welcome to Just Grow With It, the podcast where I share lessons I've learned as a founder and creator, the mistakes, the pivots, and the wins, and how staying consistent can change everything. So if you're ready to grow with me, let's get into it. In the age of social media, it is incredibly easy to confuse traction with revenue. We celebrate downloads, users, and even just like the vibe of a company. But at the end of the day, if you are not making money, then what you have is a hobby or a project. It is not a sustainable business. There's so many businesses that are launching free products every single day and they're not monetizing them. And it pains me whenever I see that happening because, like I said, we were in that position for pretty much 2 years, which was such a mistake. I would say it was our biggest mistake as business owners. I think a lot of people do this because they'll look at successful companies like Facebook, for example, or any social media platform for that matter. And on social media, you're not charging your customers. You are obviously making revenue when it comes to ads down the line after you've already had a lot of traction. So for social media companies and things like that, fine. I understand that, you're not going to charge in the beginning. But for virtually every single other business, you absolutely need to have a plan to charge your customers. I think this was more common maybe like 5, 6, 7 years ago when you raised venture capital and it was like growth at all costs. Profitability does not matter. Profitability shouldn't be the goal. I think times have really changed now. Investors especially are looking for profitable, sustainable companies, but there's still that message that you don't have to charge in the beginning. You just need really good traction and eventually you'll figure out how to monetize, which is such an incredibly dangerous trap because the money will run out eventually, and then you will have to shut down your company. For context, we raised $1 million in our pre-seed round. We raised from traditional VCs. We did not charge the customer in the beginning because we thought that, we just need to get customers in the door. Eventually, we'll figure out, how are we going to convert these users that we already have to paying customers? And in our head, we thought the product would be so good that eventually people will want to upgrade for a premium plan when that day comes, but we want to get people on the free plan and then upgrade later. That was kind of our thought process. We were like, let's launch with a free version and then we can upgrade along the way. It is so much harder to convert someone that is using a product for free to upgrade than to just charge someone kind of right off the bat. At least when you're charging people up front, they already have that expectation that this is going to cost money and they have to opt into it and they know that they will be charged. A free user will expect to use that product for free forever. And that first dollar matters when you're starting a company because that first dollar is validation that there is a willingness to pay and that people are going to pay you to solve this problem for them. It means that your idea and this business that you're working on has real value and real legs. At Rella, getting our first paying customer was so hard. I remember we were a free tool, like I said. We had literally no plan that cost money. And we were like, okay, we're going to be freemium. So in the future, we'll introduce a price tier so you can upgrade for more features and that's going to cost money and that's how we'll make our revenue because we saw other companies doing that. So that's what we thought would work. We just wanted to get as much traction and as many people in the door as possible. So we thought free would entice them, which I'll talk about why that's not always good either. But we eventually, I think maybe a year or a year and a half in, we decided to launch a paid tier. So we had a free tier and then we had a paid tier. The issue was that when we launched that paid tier, I remember we did a bunch of social media posts. I posted about it on my personal page. We did an email newsletter. We showed it across all of our, on the apps, on the phone. We did a push notification. I was expecting to refresh our Stripe account and see 50, 100, 150 people converting to this paid tier. I think the very first day, we maybe had one person convert, aside from me. I was so shocked that only one person or, less than one person maybe converted that first day. And it was like that for a long time. There were days at Rella when we did not have anyone convert. We had 0 new customers. And I'm saying this for full transparency because if you are in this situation, you are not alone. But that is a problem and we need to do something about it. So that's why you need to listen to this episode. It was such a huge wake-up call for us because one, we were like, okay, why are people not upgrading? Is it because they're getting too much in the free plan? Like they're just happy with the free plan and that's it? Or is it because this isn't a good problem or this isn't a big enough problem? Or does our product just suck? We pretty much tried everything. We started putting some free things behind the paywall. We started adding more features behind the paywall. We tried different marketing tactics. We were really scrambling. We tried every single type of user, like trying to attract a really wide net of people, which is a huge problem in and of itself. I think you need to be very niche when you're starting a business. But we really tried everything. And after only a few months of upgraded, like of having a paid tier, we decided that we needed to pivot or we were going to shut down the company. So it was one of those moments where we were like, okay, we don't have enough revenue to continue. We only have runway until the end of the year. So we need to make a plan to completely pivot and like change this product and, relaunch essentially and go back to the drawing board, or we're done. The problem was that we were solving for the wrong audience. We were really focused on like creators and talent managers and influencers when we really should have been focusing on social media managers. And so once we realized that, we decided we needed to completely relaunch the company. We did not make the same mistake. We actually put everything behind a paywall. We offered a free trial, but after the free trial, you had to pay to be a user of Rella, and that saved our company. It saved our company because we actually understood that if people were paying for this product, that means that there was a problem that we were solving and we are on track to be a sustainable business. If we would have learned that by charging people up front when we launched the first version of Rella 1.0, as I like to call it, it would have saved us 2 years of spending pretty much $1 million. On a company or on a product that wasn't going to go anywhere. So today we're going to focus on how to find these paying customers, how to actually charge for what you're building, and the lessons that we have learned about pricing along the way. Because the sooner you can make the leap from like being a company that is actually generating revenue, the stronger your business will be. And today's video is sponsored by Squarespace, the #1 way to build a website. I recommend it to absolutely everyone, and it's not just me because millions of people use Squarespace to grow their business. They have all of the tools you need to build a business, including AI, which is going to help you build your website in just a matter of seconds. They have beautiful templates to choose from, and each template can be completely customizable. We actually use Squarespace for our website, as you can see here, and we have completely customized it to our own branding. Like, this feels like a very unique website, and we use it every single month for our analytics. Our analytics are looking pretty good this month, which has been great, and we can even see where people are coming from. They just have everything that you need as a business owner, and you can get 10% off using my code NatalieBarbu, or go to squarespace.com/NatalieBarbu to get 10% off your first purchase or domain. Let's get back to the show. I'm going to go through some commonly asked questions and questions that I had when I was starting Rella. Should I start charging immediately? I don't want to deter people from using my product. Absolutely, start charging from day one. You should have a free trial, because I do think a free trial is really helpful when it comes down to if someone wants to purchase something. I know for me, I don't like purchasing anything without a free trial. I really do want to try the product at least, or have it be like an incredibly low price point for, the first plan where I can try it without feeling like it's this giant investment. So at Rella, we have a 14-day free trial, but you need to make sure that people have a willingness to pay. So there needs to be an option to upgrade or pay immediately. I am not someone that's like against a free tier. I think that if you limit the free tier a lot, it can work, and it completely depends on your business. But for us, we found that a free tier, like, we didn't know what we would put in that free tier, and we just felt like the most value from Rella, and like the biggest value add would be the free trial converting to paid. And again, speaking on the willingness to pay, some people might say that they're willing to pay. You're going to tell them about your business. They're going to be all in. But then the second they have to put their credit card in, they don't put it in. That shows that their willingness to pay is not really there. Like, they are not willing to pay. And when you do have a paywall of some sort, you're going to be able to get a lot of metrics. So you're going to be able to see how many people came to your product, how many people signed up, how many people signed up for the free trial, how many people went past that paywall and actually put their credit card in or converted to a paid user. These are all really important metrics so that you can continue to improve your product. Should I do freemium, free trial, or straight to paid? This is going to completely depend on your product. Like I said, for us at Rella, we found that having a free trial that requires a credit card subscription that goes straight to a paid plan works best for us in terms of conversion metrics. However, your company and your product might work really well with like a tier, and then pretty much all of like the good features are behind a paywall and then they need to upgrade. So it completely depends, but what I would suggest is to test everything. You need to test the free trial, you need to test the free tier, you need to test the freemium, whatever, upgrading to, the premium plan. Test out different tiers, different price points, different messaging. I think when you are starting out, you should just have like a year of just testing. You can't A/B test, which I know A/B testing can be difficult. Like you can't run tests at the same exact time. You can just test for like a month at a time. So for 1 month, you have a free trial. For 1 month, you have a free tier. I think that is a good way to test and see what your conversion numbers and what your revenue looks like. However, I do want to share some of the findings that we have found at Rella. Something that I have seen that I think other businesses have also experienced is that when someone puts in a credit card, so if it is a free trial, you get a 14-day free trial, but you have to put in your credit card, that person feels pressure to test the product and to know right away if they like it or not, which I think is a good pressure, because then they're going to think, okay, I have 2 weeks to use this product. I need to get on it. Versus if you don't put your credit card in and you start a free trial, there's nothing in you that's like, oh my God, I need to test this right away because like my card info is there. Of course, on Rella, if you cancel your free trial, like you will not get charged. So you have 14 days to cancel. You can cancel at any point during those 14 days. You can cancel the second you sign up for the free trial, and you still will have the remainder of the 14 days. We find that by requiring a credit card, we get people that are actually going to be using the product and testing it out to its full ability within those 2 weeks that we give them, versus pushing it off and procrastinating it and kicking the can down the line and then never trying it. Also, when you do have a paid plan and you don't have a free version, so at Rella we do not have any free plan, it also inherently like makes you more valuable or seem more valuable. I mean, I truly believe that we are incredibly valuable, but it's that mindset of, okay, well, why is this company charging me but this one's not? The company that's charging me must be better quality than the free company. Put a price to your product. Depending on what that price is, it's automatically going to be seen, though, as higher quality than something that is free. And people don't value things that are free as much as the things that they pay for. That is just something that I've noticed, that a bunch of other founders that I've spoken to have noticed, and I think that that's something to consider when you're thinking about if you should charge or not. We started with one tier. We wanted to start as simple as possible, so we had a 14-day trial and one tier. There was no choosing between different tiers. I think a lot of companies in the beginning think that they need to have multiple tiers, because when you look at more established companies, pretty much every established company has more than one tier. But advice that investors gave us was start with one. You want to make it as simple as possible in the beginning. Like when you are just starting out, you just want customers in the door. Don't make them think like that. The paradox of choice, which kind of shows that if you have way too many choices, it actually kind of paralyzes the user, and the user doesn't actually know which choice, and they get stuck and then they don't make any choice. That's something that happens a lot with apps that I've seen, is that when you give people too many choices, they don't know which one they fit into and they don't know which one to choose. So when you are just starting out, I highly recommend starting as simple as possible, and that might mean just starting with one tier that just funnels everyone to that one tier until you obviously grow as a company, you launch more features, you can add more value in other ways. Now Rella has 3 separate tiers that you can choose from, but we did just start with one. How much should I charge? So of course this answer is, it depends. Say it with me. You need to look at how much it costs to operate your business. If you have like a physical product, you need to look at your margins. If you have a tech product, then you need to look at how much your servers cost, how much your developers are going to cost, how much it's going to cost you to run this product. All of those things you need to consider when it comes down to how much you're going to charge. But also, in the beginning at least, I would look at your competitors as well. How do you hold up against your competitors? What are they charging? And potentially in the beginning, pricing can be a competitive advantage for you. I know at Rella, we are more affordable than our competitors for the most part, because we charge per seat versus per social space. We are much more affordable than content schedulers, and we offer much more automation and social media specific features than project management tools. So for us, Rella wanted to be competitive with pricing, and we have gone through price increases throughout the year. So we've done multiple price increases for new customers as we've added value. We wanted our pricing to be something that we were competitive with. So we looked at our competitors, we looked at our operating expenses, and we decided that we could afford to charge a lot less than our competitors, but not too much less because of that psychology that I was talking about, where if you're too cheap, people are going to question why you're so cheap and question your value. So it definitely depends on operating expenses, what value you bring, and what your competitors are charging. And of course, this is something that you can test. Like I said, we've increased our prices at Rella. We will look at our pricing structure on a quarterly basis and make sure it still makes sense with our goals and the value that we're giving and our costs. Something that we've done and we still choose to do at Rella is grandfather people in. So we've actually never increased prices on existing users, but we have increased pricing for new users. You can test pricing as well and try things out for, a couple weeks at a time. Trust me, people will tell you what they think about your pricing model. Those were some of the top questions that I've been asked. I feel so passionately about this topic because these were all issues that we faced at Rella, and I would say pricing was our biggest mistake that we made. Like, I could pinpoint one thing that was our nail in the coffin, killing the company. It would have been our pricing. It would be pricing and not niching down enough and not knowing who our customer was. I would say those two things completely shattered and killed our first business, or Rella 1.0. I don't want to say the entire business because obviously we're still up and running and we're, growing really quickly. And it's because of Rella 2.0 because we shut down everything we did and restarted from scratch last year. So that is why I feel so passionately about this. And you'll probably hear me talk more about this subject in the future, but I needed to film this episode all about pricing and why it is so important. Thank you for listening to this episode, and thank you for listening to this podcast. Don't forget to sign up for my newsletter, which goes into your inbox every single Wednesday, and I will see you guys next week with another episode. Bye, guys.